Field Garthwaite, so great you're here. Tell me all about iris.tv. What's happening?
So, hi Tracy, good to see you again. I'll just kind of give you a quick recap of the business because some people know who we are, some people don't. So, our mission in starting the company was to turn video into a profit center, and now it's evolved a little bit to really fuel the growth of streaming video. We're really excited about streaming video because we view it as the largest expansion opportunity of the internet. And this is both from like a time and attention point of view, because connected TV is where people are spending a lot of time. Also from like a bandwidth point of view, and from a shift of dollars, right? You know, there's a huge industry that is television. It's being accelerated, the rate of change as a result of COVID, to kind of new habits. And there's been a lot of really interesting data on that. But at Iris TV, we make the streaming video experience better for consumers, more profitable for customers. And you should think about the business really just as video and data. And our core technology is we create canonical data structures on video. I'll kind of explain that a bit, but as the internet historically was web pages, most of the technologies kind of look at web pages are crawlers, and it's semantic intelligence, and there's kind of crawling going on to understand what the semantic understanding of the web is. That's what Google AdWords does, AdSense. Companies in our market like Oracle's Grapeshot, Integral Ad Science, Double Verify, Peer 39, ComScore, GumGum, and the list goes on. And so at Iris TV, we're very focused on kind of the video internet, and where we think so much of the video experience, the consumer experience is becoming video. And so we think about that as video intelligence, and that's really what we brand the business as. And so we're organizing the world's video. To give you a sense of the size and scope of that, we have about 150 million videos in our platform, and this is all kind of premium content. So it's been everything but UGC to date. We're not focused there yet. And I can't cite the exact number, but we're seeing well over 10 billion video views a month, kind of quickly approaching 20 billion views per month and ad impressions per month on the platform. So it's getting very large. And we have two products. One is a recommendation engine. Think of it as like YouTube's back end, but as a B2B service. So we do that extremely well. Customers are, folks like Oprah and News Corp and CBS, Gannett, Verizon Media. We have many. And the second product is where we'll spend, I think, probably some more time talking today, is our contextual video marketplace, which increases revenue for publishers using contextual signal as opposed to audience data or just kind of direct buys alone. And it also returns higher return on ad spend for marketers.
What is happening in the CTV world? Where are you guys, what do you think is the sort of the opportunity going forward? We all know that CTV has been a remarkable environment for advertising to be delivered in, for people to watch all this content they need to in a pandemic. But, the trends are starting to potentially maybe shift back to sort of normal levels to some extent. That's what I understand. But what's the edge of opportunity for you?
Yeah, okay, so a couple things on the market that we've seen, and you've probably seen the same data, but CTV now bigger than cable TV in terms of households in the US, which we find to be really exciting. In terms of consumption, we do think that potentially similar to what happened to print in '08, that cable TV is going to experience some kind of major headwinds, and it's going to kind of see kind of further declines, which there was some news this past week indicating, kind of that is starting to really occur. But the benefit here is that, everyone who has a major kind of cable TV business does have a strong presence in connected TV. And like we touched on briefly, but I'll go into more detail, there is far higher value being achieved, at least in kind of the industries that we've seen research in terms of driving ad effectiveness and sales lift from connected television over TV. So kind of in some research where it was across, this is some research done by Bill Harvey and Fox, and they were gracious enough to share some of the findings with us. They tracked $48 billion of ad spend and connected it to 2.2 trillion in consumer spending. So like major amount of GDP. And it was in verticals of auto, quick service restaurants, and CPG, where they actually had sales checkout data and identifiers that they could link that checkout and purchase behavior, so the sales, to the actual ad impression and the source of that impression. And what they found is that in auto, connected TV delivered a 4-to-1 improvement over TV. And in quick service restaurants and consumer packaged goods, CPG, they found that it was 9-to-1 or just over. And TV being second best. But most importantly, and this has not been said enough, so I really want to zoom in on it, YouTube and Facebook and Outstream were far, far lower. Now, these formats for video are the easiest to buy. So they have a huge amount of dollars going through them, but often have the lowest levels of viewability. And it's very easy to understand why connected television would be better when you just think about watching, say, you know, the local news, you know, on Roku, or catching up on your favorite show on, you know, a channel, say on Pluto. You're engaged and watching that show, that movie, kind of those, you know, highlights from the past day. Everything is viewable. And that's kind of the benefit of TV. You just have more data and signal to activate in connected television. And when you compare that to scrolling through a news feed or a web page where maybe there's Outstream, it's easy to understand why that's more valuable, but it's also kind of the addressability, the no ability to skip. And, you know, what's kind of now occurring is there's being research done on a brand by brand level where they're finding that it's often like an 80-20 flip that needs to occur in terms of where these dollars are flowing. The issue with CTV is that there has not been enough inventory and enough signal around optimizing and targeting. And kind of these new data laws has made that more restrictive, kind of around household IDs. Yet we see contextual signal and the privacy compliant nature of it as a great way to kind of enable superior outcomes for brands. And so our kind of next 2 years are laser focused on the connected TV market and just enabling contextual intelligence across the entire landscape here in the US and internationally, just because of the pure scale of that market and then the outcomes that can be driven for marketers.
Tell me a little bit about contextualized video. What does that mean and how do you get that done?
The way that the internet has functioned historically has been through web pages and a lot of semantic intelligence on web pages, which can be done by turning web pages, like could be, you know, scrolling feed or any page. You can turn it into a document. You can then look at the natural language processing of the text on that document. You can turn that into an understanding, right? Which is driven through semantics, but then kind of another term for it is context. So to do that same kind of process with video, it's really complex because even if you have the same video about, you know, Osaka winning the US Open on Yahoo Sports and CBS Sports and NBC Sports, everyone has their own database, their own data structures, their own data fields, different kind of data sets on it. And they don't often have a standardized understanding for what that video is. So Iris TV and kind of what we've done with contextual video is create the ability to take these video files, so access the files, which are embedded in these content management systems. So we work with our customers, they provide us data feeds, we normalize those feeds using some data engineering and machine learning processes that we've built internally. And that allows us to access kind of all the data and the actual video itself. We'll then provide that file to third parties, including Oracle Data Cloud, ComScore, GumGum, Spectrum Media Services, Zephyr, and a few others that I can't name yet. And we also have historically built integrations into IBM Watson and Google ML and Microsoft Video Indexer. So it's like the world of image recognition, audio recognition, natural language processing. We are plugged into over 10 of these engines. We take the files, pass it to them, take the data back and append it to what we call the Iris ID, which is a unified identifier that's globally unique for every video. And so it allows us to have this kind of standardized way of understanding each video. And then at the time of playback, we are then able to pass that data into the kind of ad tech ecosystem, working with all of our SSP partners. And then DSPs are able to then target through direct buys private marketplaces, and open auction, based on the contextual understanding of the video. So if you're, Nike or you're Adidas and you both want to own tennis, right now that kind of topical targeting, like you think about SEO, SEM, owning share of voice on those videos, and I mean anytime the clip is available anywhere and is viewed, not just like the main tentpole sponsorship of the US Open, but someone's watching a news clip of the US Open, kind of watching the highlights on, say, Yahoo. And there's been no ability to own share of voice, which is a TV term, for video, for connected TV. And what Iris TV has created the ability to enable you to use any data standard you want, whether it's any of those data companies I mentioned or others, if you're a marketer like Adidas or Nike, to then guarantee the contextual adjacency alongside the content that you want to be shown alongside of. And this is a really powerful technology for marketers. If you think about when context became big in search, SEO, SEM, big in display with tools like Grapeshot, Peer39, Admantix, and many others, that enabled a far higher improvement in ad effectiveness, guarantees of safety and suitability, and it's become pretty much a standard in display. And it's also widely used in television, but to date hasn't been available in video and connected TV.
What kind of content works really well so that the advertisers are going to get a big push? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be the topics that these marketers, these kind of agency account directors, the plannings, the agency trading desk leads already utilize when they're purchasing kind of SEM. It's the terms that they're already purchasing when they are doing purchasing in display using specific whitelists and block lists, where they're actually then they know the topics that they want to own, and they're often quite obvious. So for, say a pickup truck, manufacturer and an auto company, it's going to be things like 4x4. It also might be camping. It might be DIY home improvement, are like very obvious topics that they would want to make sure that they own share of voice. Now that we're enabling that signal and we're seeing tens of millions of impressions a month where that signal is available, and there are people watching DIY videos, or getting out and camping videos, or actual like 4x4, kind of an off-roading videos, that is the perfect audience to make sure that your message is adjacent to. And the only alternatives to this previously were they would have to do direct deals with, say, a publisher that does specifically only DIY videos, right? Not just kind of the global world of video publishing, where there's a ton of publishers who might have a video here or there that is actually about doing your own kind of DIY bookshelf, or kind of covering those topics.
But these are related to the current times we're in. I mean, all of those topics are kind of grouped together right now.
And previously, you might just have like a direct deal on a single publisher. This kind of signal being available programmatically opens up the entire marketplace for an advertiser. And so that's really the major advantage. And then alternatively, like people might say, okay, well, Facebook and YouTube, don't they have this solved? And the answer is no, but there are some solutions like Zephyr, OpenSlate, and others that have done a great job building contextual understanding of platforms like the walled gardens. But
I find Google and Facebook, completely difficult. Yeah. They never do very good targeting for us. Well, except maybe Google with remarketing and stuff. But
the Facebook scale of the content is so high. There's 300 to 500 hours. It's probably more now uploaded every minute onto YouTube. No human curation team. No kind of football field size stack of servers can actually process that much video and append data signals to guarantee that it's safe. If Google did, it would actually probably really limit the supply that they have. Mm-hmm. And so this topic of safety and suitability, in terms of the way we think about it, is you have to go for where premium is first. So that's premium online video, connected television, all the top brands that we would think of. And that's kind of everyone from like digital first brands like Tastemade to traditional media like Warner Media. That kind of part of the market, there's a huge amount of volume there. And if you make that available with this type of signal, you really present an alternative that then when a brand has a real issue with safety or suitability on Facebook or YouTube, you give them alternatives at scale to hit the reach and frequency goals that are required to ensure that they hit their sales quota for the quarter, right? And kind of their actual revenue figures for that very large brand. So that's the kind of macro impact that this is going to have as we just continue to grow here in the coming years.
Where do you sit in the stack when people are trying to collect or information and attribution data points?
A good parallel there is really similar to the way that LiveRamp is kind of this neutral technology that's enabling the activation of audience data. And what they created is this onboarding ramp so that everyone can kind of normalize audience data. The best way to think about Iris TV is it's the exact same thing. That's why we call it a contextual video marketplace. It's really just a data marketplace where they're activating the data and kind of enabling everyone to kind of utilize this new signal. And kind of our primary customer are publishers and broadcasters, but we also work with the data companies directly.
But you're not selling directly brand safety, right? You're delivering the data that will enable that brand safety to take place, right? You're not monetizing that. You're not giving like a brand safety score based on how it performed, correct? That's further down the chain.
That's right. Yeah, our partners do that, right? So we're working with all the world leaders, and then our work with like agencies and marketers is kind of akin to like an Intel Inside, so we are hearing kind of agencies begin to ask, major broadcasters, major CTV platforms, hey, are you Iris enabled, right? Is this kind of signal available? Because then they know that that's a kind of an indicator that they can utilize any brand safety provider, any contextual data provider that they prefer.
Well, you should brand that. I mean, you should use the Iris logo and have it like appear, on these shows or somewhere, because it's a very recognizable logo.
I'm going to call you after this interview and let's talk about that.
How do you tweak your accuracy for building your contextualized AI layer? Like how do you do that?
Really great question. So the way that our backend works, we're creating this canonical data structure on all the kind of data elements on a video asset, and we give it a global unique identifier. That also gives us access to, in a normalized data fashion, the actual URL of the video, which is then what goes to those data partners that then create their own classification of the video. And it's kind of like different flavors, right, of a similar thing, but they're using different combinations of natural language processing, audio recognition, image recognition, or computer vision, and then combining that to match it to a taxonomy or data set that is known well and understood by marketers. So Gum has kind of done a fantastic job building a brand in and around computer vision, and they're well known as kind of a leader in that area in display. Grapeshot and Oracle Data Cloud has really been a leader in natural language processing and now has added computer vision. So they all have slightly different kind of ways they attack the problem. And we're making all of those signals available. I think one of the most important things to take away there is that there's been an inability to access that data, the video files from content management systems, because there are thousands of data feed formats out there between the different broadcasters, publishers, D2C, digital brands. IRIS-T normalizes all that data and makes this kind of network effect available, where then every broadcaster, every kind of CTV app that we work with, they have access then to all that signal.
So are the publishers able to say this has been contextualized by Iris, and then the media buyers are saying, great, this really makes this particular piece of content sort of turboized, and I know I feel safe, I can place my ads alongside this content. Like, what's the sort of political dynamic or the
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's someone like, say, Nintendo, right? Who I like, just think that product is great, and kind of what they've done with the rebranding. It's very logical that they'd want to be shown alongside of gamer, alongside of like video game tutorials, alongside of video game content, maybe even broader entertainment categories. They've never been able to guarantee that contextual adjacency, that share of voice. So neither has Xbox or PlayStation. Now that they can, it's an opportunity to dramatically increase the effectiveness of their media And by enabling that as a neutral kind of market-wide solution with any data signal that they prefer, since we index, it's over 10 billion video views a month that are kind of available, and kind of those impressions that can be targeted, that signal then enables the marketer to guarantee the adjacency to the topics they care about. And it's pretty easy to understand what those would be. It's like what they're buying in search and their SEM marketing, or it's what they're already using for whitelists and block lists in display. And we're seeing significant increases in what's called ad effectiveness. So completion rates and click-through rates are common proxies for that. The other big one in the area that we're really focused on is making this adjacent to kind of terms that are very well understood in television, because we really feel like that the real opportunity here is in the evolution of television buying into connected TV buying. And so that's more along the lines of like guaranteeing share of voice alongside of topics that matter most to a brand, guaranteeing the suitability, and come with that our increased sales lift, things like aided, unaided awareness. And there's been really major impact in that in television. So it's been proven that kind of guaranteeing contextual adjacency can increase sales lift by like over 30%. There's been some great research on that topic, as well as in aided and unaided awareness by over 60%. So really major impact for kind of Fortune 500 marketers and beyond, right? Because many D2C brands are also starting to really leverage TV in a big way.